I've got two separate clocks that I'm looking at, both that are hooked up online. Both of them are telling me it's 11:45. So it's time to move on to the next presentation. I am sure that many of you have had the experience with your clubs or clubs that you've watched. June, everybody's scrambling around trying to say, hey, we need officers for next year. Who's willing to do this? And you wind up with the same group of individuals leading the club from year to year, swapping off to offices many times, repeating in the same office. Imagine when you get to the district level, that problem becomes very magnified. So I thought it would be interesting to have a session on identifying and particularly on developing future leaders. Since you are out the face of the district to the club, you are getting to know the members. You have the chance of seeing who you think would be good in a leadership position. Our presenter is a veteran of, I believe, something like 25 years in the U.S. Army as a non-commissioned officer. So she is definitely somebody that is used to telling people what to do, and her current position just feeds into that ambition even more. Identifying and developing future leaders, our presenter, Ramona Baylor. Ramona.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you so much. I can't help but chuckle when you say that I'm telling people what to do, and in this role, I'm able to do that even more. But thank you so much, Rich, for that lovely, lovely introduction. Have you ever thought about what is my reason for being here on this planet, excuse me? So think about that. And I'm sure we've all thought about that. Why have I been put here on this planet? What is my to-do? Once you've answered that, and you feel like you're going in that direction, I want you to think about this second point. How are you impacting someone else's reason for being on this planet and their what to do in this world? That's what I want you to think about when we're talking about developing leaders, identifying future district leaders, and helping clubs groom their leaders. And as Rich mentioned, not only in Toastmasters, but in any organization, we don't want to be scrambling to get leaders on board. We want to develop leaders along the way. And before I go into my very first slide, I have to thank quite a few people in the district that helped me develop as a leader. Yes, Rich, I've been in the military for over 20 some years and was a leader in the military for about 16 of those years. But when you become a leader in Toastmasters, the roles and responsibilities are different. So I want to thank my club, Vice President Education and President of Speaking Easy Toastmasters there at RTP that helped me develop as a leader. Also Tony Velakis, she was the area director when I first came into Toastmasters, and I was able to serve under her as an assistant area director. So she helped groom me, and she doesn't like to take a lot of the credit, but I give her so much credit for why I'm sitting here with you today. Sharon Anita Hill, I don't even know what to say about Sharon. She is just a gem, and she has helped me grow as a leader at all levels, especially in the trio. And then the leaders I've served with, Bill Marlowe, Elmer Hill, Michael Beach, Tim Edwards, Carlene Phillip, I mean, you name it, they've helped me grow as a leader. Keeping that in mind, that's going to be the basis of my presentation, is what is our role in developing leaders. It's not the district director's role, it's everyone on this video, Zoom, and within the district's responsibility. What I'm going to describe and discuss with you today are 4 tips for developing great leaders. And when I was thinking about this presentation, and like Rich alluded to, is that I have the background, I have the knowledge, and I have the experience. So there's so much information out there on the internet to pull from, and I was going to pull from some Army manuals and Army websites, but I wanted to make it something that was going to be relative and understandable for this group. So my reference is there at the bottom. I read an article on trainingmag.com, Developing Great Leaders. 4 tips, what we're going to talk about today: develop the right people, start leadership development early, create coaching opportunities, and communicate top-level objectives. Developing the right people. In the article from that website, this statement really touched me as a leader. Performance and leadership don't have a direct link. That's a statement that they put in their article, but the second part of that is, but as a good leader, you can have them linked together if you can make the connection with the individual. So professional, personal, and Toastmasters. Now I want to open it up to the chat, and I can see the chat on my top right-hand corner. When you hear performance and leadership don't have a direct link, what does that make you think of? Does it make you think that we have high performers, but they're not good leaders? Or we have good leaders, but they're not good performers? That's what I thought, that last part. But what kind of examples do you have from a professional arena? We all have different professional backgrounds, and you've heard mine of the military and now the federal government. What do you think of when you hear that statement? Susan shares that not everyone who is good at their job may not be good at leading others or may not be interested. Susan, that is an excellent, excellent point. I actually experience that on a daily basis, and I try to share that with my husband, who is retired as well, that my manager is not a leader. She's a manager. She's a very good manager. She's just not a good leader. And as a leader, it hurts me to the core, but she's my manager. Surely, people are unique and do not have both skills. That is 100% correct. And we need to be able to identify that. Surely, that could be my whole basis for my whole talk. I could just remove all these slides and we could talk about that for 30 minutes. Because as leaders, we need to be able to, 1, be connected to the clubs, the members, and then the other leaders that we have up under us. For example, the area directors. Ryan, being a high performer technically doesn't mean you can lead and influence others. Wow, Ryan, I don't know if you ever served in the military, but that last piece of what you said, lead and influence others, we've been taught that in the military. That is what it means to be a leader, to be able to lead and influence others. But again, Ryan, to your point, and to Shirley's point, and to Susan's points, and to everyone that's given me on the chat, thank you. You have to know who you are grooming and coaching and what you're grooming and coaching them for. Maybe they'll be a good vice president education, or maybe they'll be good on an open house team, not leading the open house, but on a team. Monica, you manage activities, you lead people. That is exactly true. There are many levels of visibility of leadership. Thank you, Van, for that. So, so true. Sandy, so often a top performer gets the promotion. They do not know how to do the work, but how to lead others, but not how to lead others. Thank you so much, Sandy. And yeah, we see that a lot in the professional arena. I see it quite a bit in the federal government. I think I would say I saw it in the military as well, because unfortunately we learn from their leadership mistakes. Martin, I was investors in people champion for 13 years, a UK standard and high level award for business and teams. Thank you, Martin. I might need to lean on you when we go on to the next slide. Vasudev, leader needs to be inclusive. Okay, I may need a little more on that, Vasudev, if you could put more in the chat. Okay, thank you, Martin. I will look that up. I'm going to save the chat, so I'll look that up. Any tool, resource, information that we share as leaders in the district, Please make note of it. Like Martin said, it's in the blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna go look that up. Investors and people champions. I'm gonna write that down. I'll just save the chat just to be honest. Prasad, as a leader, one should know strong and weak areas of individual and help them to overcome weaknesses. That is 100% true, Prasad, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about coaching. But the main thing that I wanted to share here was developing the right people. And as the district director, I get a lot of emails and people say, I want to be on the team. I want to do this. I want to do that. Sometimes I know their strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes I don't, and I need to have that conversation with them to develop them. Take everyone along in the process and not just one or a few members. I love that, Vasudev. I love that. If that was you going into more detail, thank you so much. Because you never know when someone's going to grow into leadership. It's what we provide for them, providing that safe environment and the grooming and the coaching and the mentoring. Like I mentioned, Tony Balakis, and I don't know if she's on this training or not, she might not be. She doesn't realize the impact she had on me. And that's because she welcomed me, she trained me, she was open, she was transparent, and she allowed me to make mistakes. Shirley, I use DISC to help recognize how to work with others in team. I've heard of that as well. Thanks, Shirley. If you want to share more on that, if you want to put a link in the chat, that would be great for the other members. Donello, another military leader. Let's hear what she says. Capitalize on their strengths for the betterment of the team as a whole. Yes. Donella, thank you for your service and thank you for serving the district as an area director. Great leaders manage their time. Whew, Maxine, woman after my own heart. If you haven't heard me say this before, you'll hear me say it now. Maybe it's the first time you've heard it. There's 24 hours in a day. You need to learn how to maximize that. That's my personal point of view. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just recommending it. Yes, you have to sleep. Yes, you have to eat and read and meditate and exercise and all these lovely things and be with your family, but maximize the 24 hours. Thank you, William, a good leader who could see the potentials of individuals and help them explore those potentials. I love that. Thank you so much. And sometimes you'll see someone, I'm going to just point at you, William. When I saw you grow last year, and I hope you're okay that I share this, when I saw you grow last year as an area director and I saw your potential and your growth and your abilities and your strengths, I had no problem asking you to be a division director, none. Are you still going to grow and learn? Of course, but I saw that potential. So thank you for sharing that because it actually was a reflection of you. Janine, at the club level, it helps to form a nomination committee to see the potential that others don't see in themselves. Janine, that's a good point. That's actually required. Thank you for mentioning that. That's in the club leadership handbook. I don't know what page it's on, but Janine, that's a great point. Thank you. And make sure you share that with your clubs early on, not 2 weeks before the election. Our chief judge, Marie Kirkland, time, schedule, and plan in quarters. Yes, Marie. I actually learned that from Marie Kirkland and I live in quarters now. So thank you so much, Marie, for that, for sharing that with me as a leader. Now, when we're developing right people, I put personal and Toastmasters because sometimes you know someone on a personal level and you can see their leadership potential in a different organization or in Toastmasters. That's where I was trying to go with that when I wrote that down. But developing the right people in Toastmasters is important because everyone has a role in Toastmasters. We all joined as a member and I try to let people know I am a member as well. I'm a member of 5 clubs and I do my best to serve the club as a member. Not so much as an officer this year. I'm a little busy with the district director role, but next year as that starts to filter off a little bit, then I will become more active in my clubs. But yes, developing the right people and keeping in mind your skills help someone else. The way that you show up help someone else. When they see Shirley show up every day every week to a club meeting, they're like, I wonder what it is that she loves about Toastmasters. I wonder what it is that wants her to be a leader. So your showing up changes and affects people. And that's what changed and affected me. I never thought 7 years ago that I'd be here giving this presentation with you as a district director. Never thought that. Just wanted to be a member of Toastmasters. Loved it. 3 characteristics of developing the right people. They need to have the aspiration. They can't have your aspirations. They have to have their own aspirations. They have to have the ability and the engagement. Someone was saying earlier during Ryan's presentation, when you show up as an area director, you're engaged. You have the, you come on video, you can see their faces. They're engaged. They give feedback. They give input. So in the chat, give me some examples of aspiration, ability, and engagement on developing the right people. And I'm going to start looking at pictures. I might just start calling on people. If I don't see pictures, I see names, just so you know. What are some 3 characteristics? The 3 characteristics: aspiration, ability, and engagement. When you're thinking of developing the right people, what might be some of those characteristics that go with engagement? For example, an area director showing up to the meeting off video, giving input, giving feedback. You don't give me any examples in the chat, I will just call on you. All right, someone is a brave soul. They've given me something to go on. Inviting officers to lead committees. That's a good characteristic. Thank you, Ryan, thank you. Here they come, here they come. I think my chat was just slow, it was frozen, that's what we'll say. Shirley, serving in meeting roles and officer roles. That's good engagement. That's also showing an ability that you have abilities as a member and possibly an officer in a later time. Ruby, showing interest, willingness to learn. Yes, that's part of your aspiration and your ability. When you show interest, you hear, oh, I might want to be an area director next year. I've got a list that I'm going to share with Rich, and I think I've got 6 names on it right now, Rich, that said this is not the right time, but look at me next year. Oh, you best believe we're going to look at you next year. They're not here on this call, but I'm talking about those people because they have things called life. They have stuff going on in their life right now, and I understand that. We all do. So I'm making that list. Look for people that offer opinions and provide feedback. Thank you. Who gave me that? Because that's going to be in the coaching. Are you reading my slides early? Who said that? All right, okay. There's so much coming in the chat. I think I scared you guys because now they're coming up, they're just out of control. Attending Toastmasters events outside the club. Yes, exactly. That's showing your ability, your engagement, and your aspirations, because when you have to attend those type of events outside of your club, that's showing you're ready to take it to the next level. Following through, Tiffany, so true. Follow through with your engagement. If you're giving someone advice, input, suggestions, follow through on that. Hey, Donella, I sent you this note 2 weeks ago. Let me just double check. How are you doing on that? Follow through. Goes above and beyond the club role. Thank you, Janine. Encouraging members to stretch themselves. Yes, Donella. And I know, Donella, you've stretched yourself. You know, a lot of times you can answer these questions because you've been there. You can tell someone, 3 years ago when I was in Seymour Johnson and there was only 2 people showing up to a meeting, I was there. I was committed. And we pushed through it. We got through it. We got over the hump. And now look at us. We're 15, whatever, members strong. Member surveys can be benchmarked for district. Useful for aspirations. Yes, I agree on that, Martin. And that is one of the things that we are going to do. Thank you for mentioning that. Regular club meeting attendance. That's where it starts. That's where it starts. That's where you're able to see who has the ability and who has the engagement. And part of that is dedication. Dedication is another part of the characteristics. When you see someone showing up for all the club meetings, wanting to help out, wanting to fill the agenda, showing up early, being the Zoom master, so on and so forth, they have that ability and engagement. See who spends time with guests. Steve, that's so important. That's so important because when you're developing the right people, we all have our different personality traits. You want to be able to find the people that are going to be able to help grow the club and sustain the club. So that's a really good point, Steve, that I hadn't even thought about during this presentation, but it's a very good characteristic to have because you're able to be open, honest, transparent, and caring to the new member. Push and encourage members beyond. Look who said that, Inez Sanabria. I think that says enough. If you don't know Inez and if you're not in her division, I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. But she is also retired military, and she has the ability to push and encourage you in such a lovely way that you want to be the best. You want to do the best, and you're going to be. I'm going to be distinguished. My clubs are going to be distinguished. So thank you, Inez, for that. Also, the characteristics, and I think some of you have already talked about that, they motivate others to work to their full potential. And that's what, when I think about that statement, I think about Inez, I think about Susan, I mean, I think about all of you guys, but Inez has that special touch where she's kind of pushing you to the ledge, and the next thing you know, you're falling, and you don't know who pushed you, but it was Inez. And you're like, oh my gosh, I have a parachute. Thank God I have a parachute. I used to be a paratrooper as well. So that's why I'm going to that picture in my mind. So able to motivate others to work to their full potential. And my question is, and if you would put it in the chat, are you motivating others? Are you motivating others to work to their full potential? I hope that I'm pushing Rich and Monica to work to their full potential. It may feel like I'm pushing, but I really want to see their full potential because they're on the trio and we're part of a team. It's 3 of us. And the continuous push and the nudge, maybe sometimes a kick, but it's all out of love and because I want to see their full potential. So are you motivating others? I don't see anybody in the chat, and I'm looking at the faces. Let's see. Exactly, Shirley. Everyone, if you're not looking at the chat and you're wondering why I'm reading these things, I'm reading it because I have this presentation up. You can see it on your screen. Sometimes we're motivating others without even knowing it. So we need to be a good example. The story of my life, being a good example. I have to be a good example as a mom, as a woman. Notice how I didn't start with Toastmasters. I started with me as an individual. As an individual, I see you, Monica. And then it leaks over into my Toastmasters role and into my federal government job where I have to lead by example. Susan, just being a good example can motivate people. You can see someone doing a fun project or winning. Yeah, that's exactly right. Marie, thank you so much. We never know how we impact the lives of others. You may be impacting someone's life now as an area director and you find out 2 years later, 3 years later when they're on the trio. Again, I just refer back to Tony because I told her when I was getting my DTM and my husband was there to escort me that he's like, is that Tony? I was like, yeah, that's Tony. Because he's heard so much about her. And she's like, what's going on? I said, well, I've told my husband how much, you've mentored me throughout the years. So she's like, oh no, I can't take the credit, but you just don't know that one conversation, one mentoring meeting, or again, I was an assistant area director under her, how much that impacted me as a leader and as a person. So thank you everyone for sharing on that. I'm gonna move the chat just a tad. All right, start early. This is something that is not foreign to me as a leader. I have been developed since probably I was 18, 19 years old. I joined the military at 17. So I was being developed early. Was it by choice? Yes, because I joined the military. Kind of have this thought of what the military is going to be like. So I was being set up early, not set up, developed early, and became a leader at about 20, 21 years old, where I had 5, 6 people under me. And what makes the development interesting is that sometimes, like in the military, you're going to combat, and it becomes very real to you that you're not only a leader, but you have the responsibility of someone's life. Do we have that in Toastmasters? No, but I just wanted to share that with you because that's how I was groomed as a leader, and I take it very seriously to make sure that we start that early. And I'm looking at Susan's picture. I'm not really calling on her, but last year as a division director, she started keeping a list of who were going to be the future leaders in her division, in the new division, in the new district. And that is something that's helpful to the trio when we're looking for division and area directors. Another part of that is the trio has a responsibility to read those area director reports. And sometimes you guys will put that name in there. I hope you're putting the name in there for future district leaders in your area director report, because we'll start keeping that list and knowing that you're working with them and that you're grooming them to the best of your ability, but giving us the opportunity to reach out as well. So thank you, Susan, for doing that. Susan says she has to confess it's from the area director report. Don't confess about that, Susan, because one, you knew the area director report was done. Two, you got the email. But three, you open the email and you open the attachment. Well, there's not an attachment. It's one big email. It's really long. It's the area director report, but it's one big email. So she had to open that email. She didn't have to, but she did. And division directors, you know, you should be opening those emails because you're part of the process. So thank you to the area directors for doing a great job last year, because some of the results are who's on this call today, based on who Susan recommended as future leaders. So set leaders up for success by giving them opportunities to develop. Again, like I mentioned earlier, you might see someone that has some potential, but you're not like, oh, that's an area director. No, they could be helping with the club contest. You got to start small. Start at the club level. Put them on the VPM committee. Put them on the coaching committee. I know that when I was in, and still am, in Cape Fear Toastmasters, I had about 5 or 6 mentees, and I'm like, where can I plug them in at? I wanted to put them on every single committee to see them grow. So they were on my mentoring committee, but then I put one on the club coach, not coach, but new member orientation, help with the club contest, be a greeter at the open house. So when you start plugging them in, they don't really know that you're developing them. They just know that that's part of their mentoring. So they didn't really have an option. I just kind of, hey, I think you should be on this team. And so you have to help develop their opportunities. Also, let them know what's expected of them in their new role. So when I moved Jesus, for example, to help with the open house, I said, Jesus, this is what an open house is. This is what your job is going to be. You're going to be a greeter. These are the 3 things you're going to do. Here's your agenda. Here's this. Here's where you're supposed to be. Here's the time. Here's your meeting. I helped him understand his new role. I know it says new role and you're thinking, oh, area director or club president. No, you can be on a team and that is a new role. Offer them ongoing feedback and direction. That was what I did as part of my mentoring committee, is giving them ongoing feedback and direction. But this goes into every level of leadership. If you're the area director and you see club officers doing a really good job, give them that feedback. Have the conversations with them. Do you need any assistance? I heard somebody say earlier, there's a new president, been a president for 6 months and new to Toastmasters. That person is going to be needing what's expected of them. How can you give them ongoing feedback? And how can you give them direction? Like I was speaking to earlier, use your personal experiences. I pointed out Donella and where she was with Seymour Johnson, I think almost 3 years ago is when I met her, and where they are now. Use that tool and knowledge and experience to help leaders grow and be developed. I'm looking at the chat. Thank you, Susan. Let them know what resources are available to them. Ryan shared that. Rich shared that. I shared that. The division directors share that. There's so many resources. And it's going to be up to the individual to say, Rich, can I meet with you? I want to be on your team for the so-and-so and so-and-so. Rich will meet with them and give them the resources, because there's always going to be an abundance of resources. But when you can scale it down, you want to be the club president? Let me give you the resources for just being the club president and what your roles and responsibilities are. And we had a discussion last night with the division directors about putting resources in one place based on their topic. So that's helpful as well to the district and the district leaders here on this call. Past leaders play a role in district success. So I put that out there because personally, I've been groomed by past district leaders. Sharon Anita Hill, Elmer Hill, Bill Marlowe. I mean, you name it. I can just keep going down the list. What is your thought on this bullet point that I put here about past leaders play a role in district success. So in 2021, on July 1st, I will be considered a past leader. That seems like 6 million years from now. But how do you plan to utilize us? Do you want to utilize the past district leaders? Any thoughts? Helen, great point. Past leaders have training and experience. New leaders do not. Exactly. Thanks, Rich. Correct. They've been there, done that. They have the knowledge, you don't. Correct. Yep. Yeah, definitely using the past leaders now in District 117 as mentors. I love that. Thank you, Shirley. The perspective. Yes, there is a lot of perspective from the past district leaders, and we have so many great leaders in District 117. Ruby, that's a great point. Ask them about the role that you're about to jump into or fall into or get kicked into. I had a conversation with Elmer Hill and Glenda Teams Edwards, probably 6 months before I put my name in the hat for Club Growth Director. I was at a conference and I said, I just gotta do it. I just gotta go ask them. And I went and asked them my question about being a Club Growth Director without being a division director, and what was their perspective? What was their input? What was their advice? Well, you see, I'm here. So they gave me very good advice, but they were clear. Glenda was clear. Elmer was clear. I think I even talked to Bill as well. So using them for those types of questions is helpful. They can also warn you if you're in danger of doing something wrong. That is correct. That is correct. Elmer Hill will tell you, I text him all the time. I email him, ask him questions. I am not afraid to tell this group, any group. I'm not afraid to tell the whole group. I don't know everything. I never will know everything, but I will always, always, always reach out for help. Always. That is, if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. Don't be afraid to ask for help. They're able to answer questions beyond the materials. That is true. That is true. So many materials, and when you read it, it may not digest the way you thought it should. They can let you know what doesn't work. That is true as well. That is true as well. I do share that with Monica and Rich quite a bit, what's happened in the past, because they ask a lot of questions, which they're supposed to. In order for past leaders to be effective, they must commit to be mentors and coaches, not directors. Amen to that. Amen to that. I can say for District 117, the past leaders that we have, they have been mentors and coaches to me and the trio and the district. If they have not, please let me know, because they're not here to direct anything. There are people to lean on when you're fulfilling a new role. Thank you, Mary. And I enjoy speaking with Mary. We had area director training her first year at a coffee shop. So that was fun, and it's a way to connect with people. So thank you for that, Mary. Steve, any conversation with Bill Marlowe is a growth experience. I agree. I agree. Again, going back to my statement, we have excellent past leaders in District 117. And what I want to share, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, just because we're split into 2 districts now, I have leaders from District 37 to say, Ramona, if you need anything, call me, email me, text me. Cindy Martin, Glenda Teams Edwards, Pam, I can't think of Pam's last name right now, but Miss Pam, just individuals like that are in another district and telling me as a district director, because they've been in my shoes before, if you need anything, call me. And that's building relationships though too. Throughout the years, you're building these relationships. Right now, you're an area director. In 3 years, where will you be? Will you be on the trio? Will you be serving in a different capacity? Inez, they have already walked the road. Yes, and sometimes the road has some bumps and potholes and different turns and twists. But yes, we have already walked the road, me and other district leaders in the past. Pam Christopher. I love Pam Christopher. I apologize. I couldn't think of her last name. She's been very sweet to me and is always letting me know if I need something to reach out. So just know when you move up the chain, wherever you're at, if you're a club officer area, trio, people are always willing to help you as long as you've built that relationship. Don't work in a bubble. I told the let's see what we call, I can't even think what we called them, but when I first came on the trio, and this is me being transparent as well, I tried to explain to the other leaders, please don't work in a bubble. I'm the new kid on the block. I don't know what I'm doing. I need help. So they were mindful to that, and it actually helped quite a bit. Thanks, Steve. I'm getting my timers report because I can't see Steve right now. Creating coaching opportunities. Some of you were speaking about that earlier, and I don't know if it was Martin or someone else because the chat has gotten so big now. Great leaders should be good coaches. If you consider yourself a good leader, you're going to be a good coach. If you need grooming to be a leader, please reach out. Reach out to us. Excuse me. Creating coaching opportunities also means that you have to be able to provide that constructive feedback. I know that I've had constructive conversations with Inez, for example, with Ryan, with Rich. I mean, probably almost everyone here on this call, just to say one thing that you're doing good at, timely, it's frequent, and it's actionable. Not just, I don't think you're working up to your potential, but how am I not working up to my potential? How can I work up to my potential, and what is actionable? What can I do in the next 30 days? Building positive relationships with team members. That's what I said earlier, and that's what I've heard throughout this day is being committed, showing up, building the relationships. So when you're doing that, that's going to help the team members because they see that as a positive thing in their life. And trust. People are going to reach out to you if they trust you. I don't even know what more to say about trust. And you see my little picture there, the little guy, he's in midair, or gal, and that person's like, I got you, just reach out. You have to reach out. Thank you, Martin. Thank you for that. Everyone grab that link there that Martin shared with us. Leaders are able to accept criticism. Amen to that. I think that, I know that I have been receptive to your input. I don't know if it would be called criticism, but I have been receptive to your input and to your suggestions this year as a district director, and I will continue to be receptive and open to all of that information coming my way. So thank you for that. Communicate top-level objectives. So what that means to me is that as leaders, when we're trying to develop our future district leaders, and we're trying to groom our club officers, we have to communicate the top-level objectives. So what this means is, what is the district mission? And then what is the division? What is the area and what is the club? So when you're trying to develop club leaders, this is what we do at the club level. This is our mission. So that's what it means as the objectives. I didn't go any higher than district because we want to start the leaders at the bottom and let them grow. If they plan to go above district, then that's on them. And if people are willing to go above district, please reach out to the trio. Please reach out to the past district leaders so we can help you get there. Not wonder about it. Oh, I wonder what it is to be an international director. Well, let us help you get there. We have the expertise in this district to get you there. Sharon Hill, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there. Everyone can understand how their individual work contributes to the overall, and I lost my word there, overarching goals. And that's what I mentioned in my district director report, is know where you fit in the scheme of things and how can you impact the overall mission. When you're doing that and you know your role, then you're helping the future leaders of the district. You're helping your clubs as area directors. Able to convey how individual performance goals are aligned. Performance, when I saw that, I was thinking more like DCP because that is more performance, education, training. What are the organizational priorities? I would say right now the organizational priorities is making sure that our members are being taken care of. That is my priority as the district director, not the numbers, not the dashboard, but How are they being taken care of? When members know that you care about them and their needs, they're going to want to help you. They're going to want to help the club, the area, the division, and the district. And then the numbers, poof, they happen. They do happen. Personal development, their needs, and their aspirations. I've got a couple things in the chat. One might be from Stephen. 5 more minutes. Thank you, Rich. Rich, I've heard that about a few thousand times in my military career and now in my federal career. Tell people what you want done, not how to do it. And some of you will know that I try to, what's the word? I try to show you guys love by making sure that you've used all your resources before you've taken it all the way up to the district director, because there's so many levels before you get to the district director on how do I pay my dues. I'm not sure that's a question that the district director should be answering. So I just reply back, for example, I'm just gonna throw Ryan under the bus, but it wasn't Ryan. Ryan, I really appreciate your question, but have you utilized your resources? Tell me what you've done. If you have not been successful after you utilize your resources, hit me back, I got you. So just so you know, that that's the type of leader I am. I want you to, well, they always say something familiar to what Rich is saying, but on another note, teach them to fish. I want you to know how to fish first. Inez, show empathy, life happens, chain of command. Yes, show empathy. You know, I just left that long pause there, not long, at least a couple seconds. That's there for a reason, because as leaders, we have to show empathy. And thank you, Inez, for life happens. If you haven't realized, I'm just as human as you guys are. I have a life, I have problems, I have issues. It happens. And then always give a gentle nudge. Thank you, Janine. They will develop the club they need, not necessarily the club you want, but they will respond. Exactly, that's a good point. From an area director, you guys are there to support, not dictate. And then my final thoughts. Steve, I hope I'm doing okay. I saw 5 minutes and that was 12:25. Yep, I've got about 3 minutes. My final thoughts. The strongest organizations are not built overnight. I don't know if I need to put that on a slide, but I felt like I did, because even if we weren't split from District 37, we would still be building a strong organization. But because we are split, we had to build our own foundation. We have a very strong foundation because of the leaders that came over to District 117 and the future leaders. But keep in mind that it's not built overnight. District 117 was not built overnight. There was a transition period. It was almost 3 years. If you were part of the district for last 3 years, you'll see where we continue to grow, and then we split off as District 117. The second point, it takes time to identify and develop tomorrow's leaders. Put in the work. That's for all of us to put in the work. Realize more benefits than just having a succession plan. It's great to have the names on a list, like I mentioned to Rich earlier, but which of those 6 people I have on a list, who are we going to grow into future leaders? Just because I have 6 people on a list does not mean I have 6 leaders. Great leaders at all levels improve culture and engagement. And there's my reference again, and you see the baton being handed off, because it is never too early to think about who you're going to hand the baton off, but who are you impacting? Think about that again. Who are you impacting on their why? Rich, back to you.
Find my picture so I can unmute myself. I hope that everyone found that presentation as informative and as entertaining as I did. I thank you, Ramona. That's exactly what I was looking for. And since there's a good chance that I will be sitting in Ramona's seat next year, I hope you all took copious notes and practice what she has presented so that it will make my job so much easier next year. At this point, as I mentioned earlier, we are having the break for the late breakfast people to prepare their lunches. And then we will be moving on to the afternoons schedule. And you'll notice there is a break, but we're not going to have as much empty time this afternoon. So please feel free to head left to the kitchen or right central rooms and be back by the quarter till 1, 12:45.